Hi, and welcome to Off the Beaten Tracks, the show that's sweeter than a honeybee's ass and only half the calories.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Off the Beaten Tracks. I've been digitizing some new stuff, and I thought I'd share some with you today. Some of this is a little eclectic, but we'll start with this. This is Let's Move Together by the George K Band. It's almost more like Let's Kill Each Other. I have no idea. This is a disco album. I don't know how this says disco at all. There is George, and maybe this is Kate, who knows? It's an okay disco album I think it's from 1978, and that's what they did back then. It wasn't my cup of tea, but love that cover. Speaking of loving covers, this is Jeri Southern Breeze. Now, Jeri did not start out as a singer, and in fact, her voice isn't great. It's okay. You can certainly hear the limitations when you listen to this album. She started out as a jazz pianist, much like Nat King Cole or Nellie Lutcher, somebody like that, and then got into singing. I guess maybe they thought there was more money in it or something. Her career lasted about 10 years, from about 1950 to 1960, when she was forced to give up touring and appearing because she had morbid stage fright. She just hated it. This is Canadian band. This is drum, although very tough to tell by the design, D-R-A-M-A. This is Golden Eagle, Canadian. Can't get much more Canadian than that. The interesting thing about this album is when I opened it up, it has, not only does it have a little breakdown of the band, background information, there's lyrics in there as well. It also has a letter here signed by George Dabrowski, from promoting the band to CKRY-FM at York University, telling them he'd appreciate it if they played the album and giving a recommendation of the songs that he felt would be the most advantageous to them. Next is a psych album. I'm sure Matt and a few of the people have probably covered this. This is January Time, First Time from Memphis. I really like this. Reminded me a bit of early Jefferson Airplane, and I have no idea why this person is in a kind of a pillbox hat and picking their nose on the back, but hey, it was the 60s. People just let it all hang out, or they pulled it all out. Who knows? Okay, this is Ken Dodd. Now, and just out of reach. Obviously, a dentist was just out of reach for Ken. Now, this is not off the beaten tracks if you're British. This guy was a superstar, and I'm sure he kept these teeth like this, much like Terry Thomas had that little gap. It was just his calling card. He was a comedian, and, of course, a lot of comedians feel the need to sing, and Ken was certainly one of those. His voice is okay. These are okay songs with okay arrangements, and he's got an okay voice. And you could always fall back on a gigantic comedy career. So there you go. I picked this one up and I digitized this. Now Sing We Joyfully. This is a collection of memorable sacred duets of Henry Feyerabend and Frank McMiller. These guys are from Saskatchewan. And obviously they visit the same tailor. My father's from Saskatchewan, and so I thought I would pay tribute to him by displaying this. These guys were not that good. They were not very singing. The religious stuff is not my cup of tea particularly, but if it is, I prefer better singers than Frank and whatever his name was. Now this, I'm going to murder this, and I apologize to everybody of the Polish extraction. Mieczyslaw Fogg. And Mieczyslaw is kind of the Robert Goulet of Poland. Apparently had a long career. And the thing that really interested me, besides this beautiful cover, I got this in the dollar bins, and the record was in very good shape, was this gigantic beer stein thing. So I got on Facebook, and I said, hey, guys, what is this? And it turns out that in big homes, they would have one like this, and in cheaper, poorer homes, they would have simpler ones. But this is some sort of room heater, and apparently there would be, on the other side of the wall, there would be an opening there, and they would have kind of like the fireplace there, and this would radiate the heat around the room while you danced in Poland. So, little piece of interesting trivia there. Pick this one up. The translation of this, I'm getting really international here, is Epic Rock, and this is by Stardust. These are songs from the 50s, mostly, and early 60s. They do several medleys. There's a Everly Brothers one and a couple of other things, but I put this up on my Facebook and found out that this, in fact, is one of the records put out from a sitcom, that it was a sitcom about a band in Quebec, and this thing, the guy who talked to me was in the band, and he took over 12 episodes in, and was in himself 172 episodes. Wow. So having done a few sitcoms myself, coming up with fresh storylines for 184 episodes of a sitcom would be challenging. So anyway, I don't know if anybody out there has seen this show or not, but there are albums and they can be had for a reasonable price. I picked this one up. This is Honky Tonk Piano, and while I do not think this man's real name is Archibald Musclefingers Jr., as it says here, I do believe that he probably invited young teenagers to paint-sniffing parties in his basement and then cut them to pieces. Just kind of like a weird, freakish, clowny guy. That was my impression. That's why I picked it up. This is my last album, and this is actually sneak peek, Robert Hazzard. Now, Robert had a few hits, or gave away the real ending here, because this isn't the cover. I didn't find this out. It came in the shrink wrap, and I didn't realize that this is not the cover. This is the cover. This is kind of like a poster. There's the front, and there's the rest of, well, most of the rest, cut off at the knees, of Robert Hazzard. And Robert was apparently an avid smoker and died just before his 60th birthday. In fact, he was such an avid smoker, they were thinking of changing his name to Fire Hazard. That's just a little piece of trivia. And there's a song on here I was going to tell you about. These are mostly his big songs, and he did a version of Blowin' in the Wind. It was popular in those days to do new wavy versions of all classics, and a bunch of people did them. My Way, Sid Vicious, and Blowin' in the Wind. Interesting turn on it. Anyway, that's what I have today. Hopefully you found some of this interesting. You know how people warm their houses in Poland now, and you know you've got 184 episodes of a French sitcom to catch up on. Lots more of this stuff next time. Please subscribe below, and we'll see you soon.
If you work in a morgue, you really shouldn't cut coroners.